In this episode of the SPS podcast, we're going to dive into the world of Stoicism, the ancient Greek and Roman philosophy, and we're going to talk about an idea based around Memento Mori, how we can use the idea of death to improve our performance. I think you'll be surprised about how effective it is. Let's get into the episode. Welcome to the SPS podcast, the Self-Performance Strategies podcast. Unlocking the secrets of self-performance so you can improve mentally, emotionally, and physically. The goal of this podcast is to help you create even more freedom of time, money, and purpose in your life. And the SPS podcast is brought to you by the 30-day Pro Accelerator program. If you want to find out more about that, check the show notes and click the link and head on over to stephentimoney.com. Let's get into the episode. Hello. Welcome. We are in episode 25 of the SPS podcast. And for this episode, I wanted to talk about something a bit different and something a bit special in the sense that it's an idea that has helped me a lot in my life to take more risks or to take more action, to go after my dreams. And that idea is the fact that I will die at some point, that death is coming for me. So a little bit of a morbid episode, but an important one, because we're going to talk about the Stoic idea of Memento Mori. And I'm going to have lots of quotes in this episode, so be ready for a bunch of Stoic quotes. And we'll start off with one from Marcus Aurelius. He said, "You could live right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think." I think that's a great quote to start off this episode around talking about Memento Mori and the idea that you may die, which I'm going to get into a bit of a deeper explanation. But Marcus Aurelius is telling us right from the start, you can live right now. There's nothing stopping you from living right now, which is really key if you want to have a successful life. But let's ask the question, how do you use death to make you perform better? Well, as I said, we're going to think about and talk about Memento Mori. Essentially, you do more, you live life to its fullest, and you take strategic risks because you know you will die. But what is Memento Mori? Well, it's a large part of Stoic philosophy, like I said. It's a practice of contemplating your mortality and remembering that one day you will die. And in English, I think it roughly translates to remember you must die, Memento Mori. It sounds kind of morbid and death-like, and I get that. I've already mentioned that. I get that. It's like, why would you want to think about death? And I know, but you need this concept in your life. It pushes you to take the right actions and not to sit on the sidelines in life, because you got to be honest, there are times in your past, and there might be times right now that you are sitting on the sidelines and you know you should be doing more, you know you should be taking more action. And Memento Mori is one of those tools that you can use to motivate you to get shit done. So to get a more philosophical viewpoint, I'm going to discuss 3 Stoic quotes. We're going to look at the Stoic masters, and I'm going to start with Seneca. And Seneca said, "Let us prepare our minds as if we'd come to the very end of life. Let us postpone nothing. Let us balance life's books each day. The one who puts the finishing touches on their life each day is never short of time." I think that's a brilliant quote, and that taps into sort of the Stoic idea and a habit that I do each day, which is journaling morning and night, which is a fantastic habit if you're trying to make moves forward in your life. But if you're living each day to the fullest and postponing nothing and doing high value, high dollar, high reward work all day long, activities all day long, when you wrap up the end of a day, you're happy, you're satisfied, and you know you're moving in the right direction. But Marcus Aurelius also had his thoughts on this idea. And Marcus said, "Brief is a man's life, and small the nook of the earth where he lives. Brief too is the longest posthumous fame, buoyed only by a succession of poor human beings who will soon die and who will know little of themselves, much less of someone who died long ago." So what Marcus Aurelius is saying is that, from my perspective with this quote, is that your life is brief, The people who know you live in a little network around you, and you can do whatever you want, really. You're not going to be remembered. There's very, very few of us alive right now, and very, very few of us listening to this podcast, even myself making this podcast, that are going to be remembered like Marcus Aurelius, a household name, when you come to think about it. But the idea for this is just to take action. Your life is brief, and only a small number of people around you in your world will know you. A couple of hundred, couple of thousand people, maybe a little bit more than that, depending on your influence. But like a blink of an eye, you'll be gone, and it doesn't matter how famous you are. You're going to go, and people are going to forget your name. So you might as well make your life as epic as possible. And this doesn't mean getting nihilistic about things and being like, well, what's the point? The point is, now, do it now, have fun, do the best you can. And then finally, Epictetus reminds us, I cannot escape death, but at least I can escape the fear of it. I love that quote. I love Epictetus. Epictetus quotes are fantastic. But what he's saying here is we can't escape it, but we can stop fearing it or stop ignoring it, and we can just live our fullest life. And that's what I'm going to try to help you do in this podcast, and what I actually try to do of all my content and all my podcasts, because my goal is to help millions of people not do the dumb shit that stops them from fulfilling their potential. And Memento Mori is one of those things that can stop you from doing dumb shit. Now, the Stoics believed we must care for others while accepting death is out of our control. So we've got to care for ourselves, we've got to care for others. And there's a juxtaposition of thought between caring deeply for life while fully embracing and accepting death. And that's getting to that nihilistic point that I made. You know, death will come for us all, but that doesn't mean we sit on the sidelines and do nothing. Now, I have to admit, the idea of thinking about death can seem very strange to many people, especially in Western cultures. It's not something that we talk about too often. It's not something you talk about in your family too often. And we've developed this habit of ignoring death. Many people live in the moment in the hedonistic world, materialistic world. It's all about likes and clicks and instant gratification. And that brings this sense of we think that time is abundant, and you never think you're going to die, or you never think you're going to have regrets. But the reality is, like I've already mentioned, death is one of those few things that we all have in common. In fact, I don't know many other things that we have in common, because people used to say death and taxes, but there's plenty of people not paying taxes out there in the world. So, death is the one thing we all have in common. And regrets as well is one thing most of us have in common. But but there are some people who've escaped the regret cycle, and that's because they're living life to their fullest. They're embracing this Memento Mori idea. But then why think about death then? Why think about it? Well, one of my core beliefs about Stoicism, one of my core beliefs about life is to do the right thing. And Marcus Aurelius said this in a quote, and this really served me well years ago when I first started getting my personal development journey. And it was actually the Stoics that really helped me at that point, because they provided me with ideas and values of how to show up as a good person. And Marcus Aurelius said, just do the right thing. The rest doesn't matter. Cold or warm, tired or well rested. So what I got from that quote when I read it years ago from Meditations is just do the right thing. Doesn't matter whether you're tired or well rested or whatever your mindset is. Just do the right thing. Whatever the right thing is, whatever your gut and your mind is saying, this is the right thing to do it, and deal with the circumstances. Deal with it. And living a good life and doing the most that you can each day. And I'm not talking about hustling 24/7 each day. I'm talking about showing up to the key pillars of your life each day, connecting with your family, connecting with your passion, connecting with your purpose, connecting with high value, high dollar things in your business. That's the right thing to do each day. So why aren't you doing that? Or why, I would ask myself that years ago, why am I not doing that? And it really pushes you towards taking action. So when you appreciate each moment more and recognize that your time is limited, you learn to do the right thing. And that's what I'm saying with Stoicism here. And that's what I'm saying with Memento Mori. It teaches you to do this by living in the now, which for me is probably one of the main tenets of Stoicism, is to be in the now, to control what you can control, because you can only control your thoughts, actions, and words. And I know that Buddhism and Hinduism and some other philosophies talk about living in the now as well. And I think they all have similar crossover. But living in the now is the only thing we have. And Memento Mori, again, repeating myself a little bit in this podcast, but Memento Mori is going to make you do that, because when you start thinking about death, you can do it in one or two ways. You can fear it and worry about it and grieve over it and cry about it. Or you can use death as this idea of being grateful for every moment with loved ones, with friends. If you had a pet in the past, it might make you sad thinking about the pet, the dog, the cat, but you probably have a lot of really happy memories in there as well. You're really grateful for the fact of being able to spend that time with them. A parent, a family member, somebody who you knew, a mentor that might have passed on. Yes, you might feel sad, but generally for me, using this Memento Mori idea, I actually look to the positives of the people who have left this realm, of the pets that have left this realm. I always look for the positives, and I remember the good things, because I want to celebrate the lives of those who are important to me while they're here and while they're past. Celebrating them is the point. Memento Mori reminds you that is the point of life, to celebrate the impact that you have and to celebrate the impact that other people have on you. And I also want to do the activities that matter most to me on a daily basis. Thinking about Memento Mori makes me want to be closer to those who are important in my life and makes me want to do the things that are important to me. Obviously when people do pass, I will be sad. I am sad. I've been sad. And as you should, 100%. But I always look to the good times, always look to the joy of knowing that these people were in my life and they impacted me. Memento Mori takes something destructive like death and turns it into a beautiful part of our daily lives, even something to embrace and not fear. But let's get to the main point of this podcast. At the start of it, I talked about how thinking about death will help you improve your performance. And that's where we're going to flip to now. And we're really going to get deep into it. And I've already touched on it. You can already guess that I'm going to touch on a few things that I've already mentioned in this podcast. But Memento Mori helps you prioritize what matters while reminding you that time is finite. I'm going to repeat that. Memento Mori helps you prioritize what matters while reminding you that time is finite. Each day you know that sitting on the sidelines of life is not the right thing to do. Watching life go by you is not the right thing to do. When you think about this idea, when you journal on it and really embed it into your life, and this happened to me in my 20s and early 30s when I used to party a lot and drink a lot and mess about, watch a lot of television, watch a lot of movies and just hang out with people and always be in a storm of other people's lives and just always out and never really moving my life forward towards any purpose or reason. But when I actually embodied this idea, I started to see time differently. I wanted to do more of my time. I saw less value in being around things that didn't serve me, people, places, ideas. I saw less value in wasting months and years of just drifting. I saw less value in materialistic or hedonistic pursuits. Obviously, going for peak experience and beautiful holidays to beautiful cities or lovely beaches or countrysides and doing fantastic things with people, those are things that you should do. Those are amazing things. Those are high value things. Memento Mori is telling you to do those things. But wasting money, partying at the weekend, on silly clothes, on constantly buying new stuff, of stretching yourself financially to buy a house, to buy a car so you look cool, to keep up with the Joneses. Memento Mori is telling you don't do that because that's not the right thing to do. It takes courage. It takes courage to really embrace Memento Mori, because Memento Mori is going to tell you for your performance to take on bigger challenges, because time is not on your side, but to take on bigger challenges because you know you're capable. You know you have the potential inside. Memento Mori is saying you are a human, you are a miracle, you are on this realm, you have an opportunity to do great things, you have an opportunity to have a great life, because your time is ticking by, so you should take action. You should get after it. Many people say they need motivation to be productive. Many people say that they need to be in the right mindset. They need to get into flow. They need this, that, and the other thing. They need a 15-step process, a 10-step process. So I can't work when I'm in this cafe. I can't work when I'm in there. I've got to be here. It's got to be special. Memento Mori blows all that stuff, just blows that bullshit away. You want to get stuff done, you do it. You just get it done. Your time is ticking. Time doesn't care about your 10-step process to get into flow. Time still ticks by. So when you think about this idea of Memento Mori, it's going to make you more productive, because you're going to start doing things more regularly in maybe places that you wouldn't have done before. Maybe writing content when you're feeling more tired. Maybe doing work when you don't really have the energy, but you're showing up. When I first started taking this concept to heart and thinking about this concept daily, I can tell you it's certainly put things into perspective. I'm in my early 40s. I definitely wasted 10 years of my life, from the back end of my teens into my late 20s, I definitely partied a lot and repeated the same year 5 or 6 times. So I have that fire in me, that Memento Mori is reminding me, like, you drifted for 10 years. Let's not waste any more time. And what is more motivating than understanding that your own personal clock is ticking down? If that doesn't motivate you, I would check your pulse. You might already be dead. But yeah, so use Memento Mori each day to help you improve. Take time to realize that everyone around you will die and your time is finite, and celebrate them while they're alive. Celebrate life while things are good, while you're living in this miracle. Then take action to use your time well today and every day. You won't regret it. But how do you think about Memento Mori each day? Well, Seneca says, hurry up and live. And one way that I bring Memento Mori into my thoughts every single day is I have a $1 Canadian coin that was gifted to me, and it was minted the year I was born. And I have that coin sitting on my bedside table. I see it every morning. I also put that coin in the pocket of my jeans or my suits when I used to go to work in suits, or when I used to go to a corporate job. It was in my pocket every single day, because I know every time I look at that coin, it will probably still be around many, 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 many years after I'm gone. My date of birth and my date of death will pass, and that coin will be sitting in somebody else's drawer for hundreds of years. Hopefully. But that brings a smile to my face, and it reminds me to love deeply, to take action, and to do the right thing each day. That coin is my do the right thing each day reminder. And that is how I remind myself each day. I have a little token, a little trinket that is around me that I see each day, and it's my daily reminder that Memento Mori, that the clock is ticking and it is time to take action. Well, I hope this podcast, this episode, hasn't been too dark and morbid for you. This has helped me shift my mindset immensely, and I hope you'll find this idea useful. I hope you'll find this idea practical, so you can take more action in your self-performance journey, that you can actually start getting more things done, and you can wake up each day and realize, hey, I've got to tick off these big things, these 3 big things a day. I've got to tick them off and keep going. But yes, let me know your thoughts about this episode. You can reach me at Steve Timoney on Twitter. That's at STEVETIMONEY on Twitter. Or you can head on over to my website, which is STEPHENTIMONEY.com. That's StephenTimoney.com. And let me know what you think of the podcast. Let me know what's good, what's bad, what's ugly, what's great about everything. I would love to hear your feedback. But that is the end of the 25th episode of the SPS podcast. Thank you very much for listening to me talk about my ideas. I really appreciate you, and we will speak to you in the next one. Make it a good day.